AITA for refusing to change my children's school, for husband after his ex-wife lost her high-paying job. I'm a 42-year-old woman with 2 children, Emily, who's 16, and Ethan, who's 12, from my previous marriage to Dany. I've been remarried for a little over 5 years to Greg, who is 44. He has 2 kids as well, Nico, who's 15, and Zoe, who's 10, from his marriage to his ex-wife Leah. Greg and I actually met at our children's school, the prestigious international one where all 4 of them used to attend. From the beginning, it was clear that we were blending 2 very different parenting and financial dynamics. Dany and I, while far from friendly, co-parent well. He's extremely wealthy, and we both contribute equally to our kids' private school tuition and have robust college funds in place, thanks in part to both sets of grandparents. Greg's situation is different. He and Leah were co-funding their children's education, but recently, Leah lost her high-paying job. That meant the financial foundation for keeping Nico and Zoe in the international school crumbled. Greg has been struggling to cover his share alone, and as a result, they had to pull his kids from the school and move them to a more affordable option. When Greg first brought this up, it was clear he wasn't just overwhelmed, he was devastated. Not just because his children were being uprooted, but because they were seeing a disparity. Emily and Ethan remained in their elite school while Nico and Zoe were suddenly transferred to something smaller and less prestigious. The comparisons began. Complaints surfaced. His kids were unhappy, and he started to internalize that pressure. Then came the big ask. He wanted me to consider pulling my children from their school too, so that all 4 kids would attend the same, more modest institution. At first I thought he was joking, but no, he was serious. He said his children were suffering emotionally, that they were jealous, humiliated even, and that it was unfair to maintain this imbalance under one roof. But here's the thing. I cannot and will not compromise my children's education. It's not just about money or image. It's about stability, consistency, and keeping the promises Dany and I made to our kids long ago. Pulling Emily out now, in her junior year of high school, would disrupt everything. Her college applications, her clubs, her advanced classes. Ethan is just beginning to find his academic rhythm. The idea of moving them just to avoid emotional discomfort for someone else's kids. That's not a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And it's not a solo decision anyway. Dany would never agree to it. If I even suggested it, he'd drag me to court faster than I could finish the sentence. Not to mention, he'd use it to turn the kids against me, something he's quite skilled at doing, even when unprovoked. I explained this all to Greg. I reminded him that from day one, we agreed that education and college funds would remain the responsibility of each child's biological parents. I told him that I love his children, I want them to thrive, and I understand this is painful, but it's not my children's burden to carry. He didn't take it well. Since that conversation, things have gone downhill. He's moved into the guest room. The air in the house is stiff and strained. We still try to keep things normal for the kids, but they're not stupid, they feel the chill. Emily is more withdrawn than usual. Ethan, who usually jokes around nonstop, has started acting out in quiet ways, leaving his chores half done, mumbling under his breath. Nico and Zoe have become distant, polite but clearly upset. We tried talking through it again, even went to therapy once, but it was unproductive. Greg says I'm being too cold, too logical, too businesslike. He thinks I should be considering the emotional needs of the whole family, not just my kids. And maybe that's true. But I can't sacrifice 2 children's futures for the sake of emotional parity. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I parent. What hurts most is that Greg is a good man. He's patient, affectionate, and most of the time, a wonderful stepfather. But right now, it feels like he's asking me to choose between being a good wife and a good mother. And I won't lie, I choose being a mother every time. Still, I'm grieving what this choice might cost me. I see my marriage fraying at the edges. The silence between us is getting longer. We're no longer making plans or even talking about the future. It's like we're living parallel lives in the same house. And I can't help but think, would Greg really have done this for me if the roles were reversed? If Dany lost his wealth and I could no longer afford the private school, would Greg have pulled his kids out just to make mine feel better? My gut says no. So yes, this might be the hill I die on, but I believe it's the right hill. Emily and Ethan didn't ask for this situation. They don't deserve to have their world dismantled because someone else has changed. And for the record, because I've had to say this more than once recently. Please stop sending inappropriate messages. I'm not interested in cheating on my husband. I'm not looking for attention. I'm just trying to protect my children's futures the best way I know how. If that makes me the bad guy in someone else's eyes, I can live with that.